Our next type of output is live video streaming. This is going to be broken into two parts. We're first going to talk about the encoding settings, and then we'll look at setting up the destinations you're going to stream to. So the encoding settings include anything about the resolution, bit rate, the quality of the streams you're going to produce. This can all be set by going to the gear found at the top of the interface next to where it says Stream Encode. When you click on this, this is going to open up a window, and we're going to see a number of gears in the upper left corner. The number of gears you see will determine how many encoders are available on your system. Most TriCasters will have 2 encoders, but there are some model TriCasters that will have 3 encoders. Clicking on a gear will allow you to configure that encoder. And you can configure each encoder with its own settings. So for example, maybe you'll have one be a high quality, high bit rate encode, and maybe one will be a lower quality. Or maybe you're going to set up one for a language in English and another one for language in Spanish, right? Just however you want to use these multiple channels of encoding. But when I open this up, we can see here's our encoding settings, and we can choose either some defaults along the top just by clicking on these buttons. These are good starting points you could work with. Down below, this will allow you to manually adjust the settings to where you want them to be. So we can choose our video resolution, our frame rate, our codec profile, and our bit rate. And all of these parameters, when mixed together, will produce a quality, which is represented by this bar below. So for example, if I adjust the bit rate, you can see that bar go up and down. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that it won't work, for example, if it says bit rate too low, but it's probably going to be very poor quality video, so you probably don't want to use it using those settings. And really how good the video quality is depends on multiple factors. So this is something you should experiment with a bit till you find the right settings that work for your need. One thing you should also consider is finding out what your upstream bandwidth to your streaming destination is. And you should always give yourself some headroom. So for example, if you find that you only have 10 megabits of upstream speed, you don't want to stream at 10 megabits because that gives you no headroom. It's always recommended to give yourself at least 50% headroom, and probably not a bad practice to give you double. So if you're going to do 10 megabits upstream speed, maybe stream out a maximum of 5 megabits so you've got room for overhead. The Advanced tab will allow you to set your keyframe settings. 2 is very common, and your encoding mode, either variable or constant bit rate. In most cases, variable bit rate will be more efficient, but there are some streaming destinations that recommend constant bit rate. So if that's what yours says, you can switch this as needed. And then below that, we have our audio settings. We can choose our audio sample rate and our audio bit rate. So we can set all of this for encoder 1. And then if we need a second output, we can go to encoder 2, and you'll find all the same settings, but I can set them completely separate from what encoder 1 is configured with. Finally, we can also define what video and audio are attached to the encoders. And that can be done by going to the Source Setup button. When I click on this, this will open up our Output Configuration panel. This is the same panel we got by clicking the gear in the Program Monitor. And at the bottom, you'll see Stream 1 and Stream 2, and potentially Stream 3 if your system has one. And this is where the video and the audio come from for these streams. So they can be any of the mixes for the video. I can just click on here. So maybe I wanted Stream 2 to be that clean feed. And then I could choose what audio I want. And these can be any of the audio outputs configured on your system. So if master was set to English and aux was set as my Spanish language, right, I could get 2 different audio languages out that way. And then finally, there is a separate audio adjustment for the stream. This will allow you to adjust the stream output volume level independently of everything else going on. So this won't change what your live output is or your recorded volume is. So that way, if you find your stream volume's not quite right, this allows you an independent control to adjust it. Now that we have our streams configured, let's take a look in the next video of how we set up destinations and stream to them.